Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I will be going over each and every rank currently in War Thunder with air, ground, and naval, and going over what I feel to be the most and also least fun of each of these. Now, this is just going to be, again, my opinion, as you guys could imagine. So if you guys have a different opinion on this, I want to hear it. So definitely write in the comments below what you think your most fun rank is, what you think the least fun rank is, or even something in the middle, because I want to hear it, especially if it's different from my opinion. So that being said, we are going to start low here with rank 1. As you can see, I've ordered it pretty decently, and in this picture we have an aircraft. So this is rank 1 air. Now this encapsulates pretty much everything, so air, AB, RB, and sim as well, and I'm going to put this in A rank. So I think that at rank 1, that air AB is a bit more fun than RB, simply because you just don't really have all too much in the way of firepower, and because of that, it gets to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Like, I really like air AB at this BR, I guess you could say, at this rank, air RB as well, but I just feel like the lack of firepower is what really keeps it from being a rank S. Otherwise, it's a flying circus, and it is wonderful. Now, rank 1 ground, easily S tier. This is probably the most fun, at least in my opinion, the most fun rank and game mode in game. Rank 1 ground battles is phenomenal. You can pretty much kill everybody, you can be killed by everybody, you can respawn multiple times, you have enough firepower, it is just a load of fun. And some of these vehicles, like the BT-7, the BT-7M, you could even bring up to higher tiers and use as a troll vehicle that actually kill enemy vehicles, so it's pretty damn fun. Now we have the lowly rank 1 in naval, and I'm going to be using pretty much blue water naval as the standard for this, simply because coastal isn't really as much played. It's just such a weird meta that they have going on. But for rank 1 naval, I'm going to go with C. It's just kind of boring. You know, I'm even going to go with D tier. Even though some naval is really good, rank 1, it just feels like everything is the same. It's just a bunch of weak destroyers being killed by pretty decent coastal vehicles. And because you start off around 3 or 3.3 BR with your reserve destroyers, it's just a really weird time. Now, for rank 2 aircraft, I'm going to put that in S tier. So you have a lot of the same maneuverability as rank 1, however the firepower gets fixed and it becomes really fun. And bear in mind, I might even switch some of this stuff over time, because actually, you know what, I'm going to put that in A tier as well, and I'm going to move this rank 1 down to B tier, come to think of it, just because the firepower issue is that big of a deal. But you get a lot of the firepower coming in rank 2. It's not quite there yet, and the aircraft aren't quite as fast as they could be, but it is still a lot of fun, and I think it is phenomenal. Now, next up, we have rank 2 ground. I'm going to put that in the A tier in terms of how fun it is. The reason why it's not S tier is because a lot of the vehicles in this, like, you'll have a lot of 2.0 BR vehicles from rank 1 going up against 3.0 BR vehicles in rank 2, and it's just it can be really fun, but not at the same time, because some vehicles are more or less impervious to others. It kind of takes down the fun a little bit. Now, it's still really fun, don't get me wrong, you know, because you start seeing the introductions of vehicles like the T-34, the M4, some of the better Panzer IVs as well, but it's kind of a little bit less fun than rank 1, but still really fun in how fast-paced it is. Now, next up, we have rank 2 naval, and I promise, guys, naval is going to get better rankings from here on out, but rank 2 naval, it's basically rank 1 naval, but building upon it. So you get better guns, you get more guns typically, you get things like better anti-aircraft, which is tremendously helpful when fighting, of course, aircraft. You get typically torpedoes or more torpedoes if you already had them. So it's pretty much, again, just building on rank 1, and I think that's a bit more fun because of that. Next up, we have rank 3 aircraft, and I'll just tell you guys this: rank 3 for both aircraft and tanks holds a very special place in my heart. I'm going to put that all the way up in S tier. You have vehicles like the BF-109 F4, which is arguably my favorite propeller plane in War Thunder, the Whirlwind P9, which is a really, really cool limited release prototype that the British have. You have just so many vehicles that are starting to come into their own at that BR in that range. And bear in mind, I would have done things like reserve to 2.0 BR, 2 to 3 and all that as instead of this, but I feel like this is a bit easier and people just kind of get a better sense of what I mean when I say ranks rather than 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and that would have taken way longer than what I'm doing here. But anyways, you have all these great planes that are really starting to kind of identify themselves. You're starting to get a lot of really good cannon-based aircraft with the Germans. You're starting to get a lot of faster aircraft with the Americans. You're starting to get better variants of the Spitfires and Japanese planes like improved Zeros and things like that, where it's just such a fantastic BR. And I think you even start to see B-17s and some of the heavy bombers really come into their own. So it's just a really, really good rank. I love rank 3. And quite honest with you, rank 3 ground as well. It is fantastic. It's pretty much air but ground, if that makes any sense. So pretty much everything I just said about the air, you have it with ground. You start seeing Panther tanks, Tiger tanks, you see upgraded T-34, so I believe the T-34-57, maybe even the T-34-85 as well. You start seeing the big guns, Shermans, you start seeing a whole bunch of these vehicles that are really incredibly famous for one, but two, they are really, really good matches for each other, and they all have their own identity. And I love that so very much in War Thunder. It is fantastic. Next up, we have Rank 3 Naval. And again, we are climbing the tree here. Rank 3 Naval, I actually find to be pretty fun. It's not amazingly fun, but it's pretty fun. It's definitely doable. The first 2 ranks of Naval are a little bit of a slog, but once you get to Rank 3, you start getting more identifiable vehicles. And in my opinion, it is really good. I think you have the, what's it, the USS Helena at Rank 3, which is really where it starts to go. It's like Rank BR 5.0, give or take, and higher. It's a ton of fun. Now we are rank 4, and rank 4 aircraft I'm going to put down in A tier. I think it's still really fun, but you start getting, it's pretty much just an extension of rank 3, if that makes any sense. So while it's really, really fun and every vehicle has its own identity, and you can really, again, differentiate between VF-109s, FW-190s, Mustang Spitfires, and Typhoons, and everything else, it pretty much is just that, but with typically either heavier armament or faster speed. So it's still really, really fun, but it's not, typically it's not quite as maneuverable, and for me at least, at that BR for lower BR vehicles, I prefer maneuverability. And even with higher BR vehicles, I love MiG-21s. And so, at least before we started getting BVR, but I'll go into that soon. But you lose a little bit of the maneuverability for speed and firepower at rank 4. And even though I still find it incredibly fun and I play it very often, it's not quite as good as rank 3 in terms of air for me, but I still really, really like it. Now we have rank 4 ground, and this one for me at least depends on what nation you're playing. For me personally, if I was going to be playing Germany, I'd probably put it in A tier. If I was going to be playing maybe USSR, C or B, you know? And so just as a general, I'll go ahead and put it in B tier. It's still really, really fun. And there's not anything here that's like objective or objectively not fun. I mean, thankfully, as much as a lot of people might hate to say it, War Thunder is a pretty fun game. And I think for the most part, rank 4 is fun, and they've actually made it better. I would have been more likely to put it in C tier recently, but they've made it so that a lot of Cold War tanks are seeing a pretty major BR increase, which means that these guys, this is pretty much the top end of World War II, kind of like how rank 4 is for the most part the top end of World War II aircraft. And so with rank 4 ground, you're starting to see more kind of infighting, if that makes any sense. So more World War II versus World War II vehicles, which I really like, but you're also starting to see slower vehicles and emphasis on more armor, longer reloads. And while that can be really fun in a tactical way, it's just not the same madness as you might get with rank 1 or even rank 3, where you still have manageable reloads, but you know, vehicles are still pretty quick, and again, they're just kind of starting to like come into their own. They're starting to identify themselves. Now rank 4, as you may guess, I'm actually going to put that in A rank. I actually find rank 4 Naval to be really, really fun. Naval only has 5 ranks as of current, and rank 4 Naval is where you start seeing heavy cruisers and some, I think maybe some early battleships or battle cruisers. Either that or those are currently exclusively rank 5, but pretty much around 6.0 BR, give or take, is going to be rank 4. And it's really, to me, just a great mix of firepower, of speed, of decent enough armor, but more so firepower and reload speed, and also mobility is so good at and around this BR that you can take a lot of rank 4 vehicles and use them in a support role against rank 5 battle cruisers and battleships. It's a really, really fun BR, and I think it's got a great mix of a lot of things. Next up, we have rank 5 in terms of aircraft. Now, this is another, in my opinion, A rank. I feel like rank 5 jets can be a lot of fun because it's a totally new challenge, right? Most of these are going to be beginner jets or at the very top end of props, super props basically. And to me, that is a ton of fun because you're basically getting a totally new style of gameplay with jets, being that they perform very differently from props. They don't respond quite as well. They're a little bit more clunky, maybe not as maneuverable, for the most part not as maneuverable as most props, but they also have higher end top speed, incredible dive speeds, typically better firepower. So I really, really like it. Plus, especially in rank 5, in the lower BR jets, you have a lot of these really odd designs like the HO229 and some of the ME262s and even the HE162. I forget if that's rank 4 or 5, but you have a lot of these early jets that are just totally unique and they do not share anything with later jets. So it's a really, really cool time and I like it a lot. Next up, we have rank 5 tanks. This one is another one where I'm like iffy on because sometimes I could really, really like it, sometimes not. Just for the sake of making this a little bit more even, I'm going to put it in C rank. I would put it in B rank, but I feel like currently it's just kind of a weird place to be, right? Like you have a lot of vehicles that some vehicles have huge advantages over others. Like I think the IKV 90 or whatever it is, the Swedish vehicle that has a laser rangefinder, I think that's a rank 5, and that vehicle is just totally ridiculous. I mean, it's just incredibly powerful, whereas other vehicles at and around that BR are not. I mean, I've gotten a nuke on that thing. And so you have a lot of these vehicles at and around that BR, in that rank rather, that are really I guess you could say, like, for the most part, with the exception of those outliers like the IKV, it's very homogenous, might be a good way to put it, because you have a lot of vehicles that were kind of trying to do the same exact thing, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I like diversity in gameplay. I like, you know, tanks that can do this and other tanks that can do that. Identities within their own nations. And you start seeing a lot of tanks, a lot of countries have Leopards, a lot of countries have M48s and all that. And I'm not saying that, you know, in rank 2 or rank 3 that a lot of countries don't have Shermans or T-34 variants, but it just feels a little bit different here because unlike those vehicles that have their own identity, with rank 5, it's just like, oh, you have Heat FS2 with pretty similar armor, with pretty similar armor pen and reload speed and gun size, and it just feels, I don't know, different, but like slower pace than what you might find in rank 2 or rank 3. So for that reason, I'm going to put it rank 5. I know that was just a bit all over the place, but I'll put that in rank 5. Next up, we have rank, or in the C tier. Next up, we have rank 5 naval, and I kind of want to put that in S, A, and B. But, you know, I'll put it in B tier for now. So I think rank 5 naval is really, really fun, but the only real two downsides to it are that it's very slow pace. Some vehicles can take forever to kill. Even if you're firing like a 300mm cannon or whatever, they can take forever, 300 plus millimeters rather, just to kill an enemy vehicle, or you die and now all of a sudden you have a massive repair bill, which really, really sucks. So like, it kind of feels like it's a lot more weight on you, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Like you've got like a burden that you have to bear just to play it, whereas rank 4 is a little bit faster pace and more free of that. But rank 5 is still really, really fun. I get much more satisfaction playing rank 5 naval, killing an enemy, than I do in any other rank of naval, but it's a little little bit, again, iffy, because once you start dying, then it's like, oh, well, I lost a lot. Next up, we have rank 6 air. That is definitely S tier for me. I love rank 6 air because you are starting to get into missiles, you're starting to get into supersonic aircraft or thereabouts. Transonic aircraft are really becoming pretty common at and around this BR, and it's just, again, an explosion of diversity, right? Like, you have some aircraft that, with the Harriers, that are really, really quick to accelerate from low speeds, but don't have great maneuverability. You start seeing MiG-21s, you start seeing, I think, the F-4, but if not the F-4, definitely the F-104, and it's just such a tremendous diversity of aircraft at and around that rank, or in rank 6 rather, and also missiles and all that. Some people have countermeasures, some don't, but does it really matter because it's like AIM-9Bs and R3s? It's just really, really fun, and again, every plane has its own unique playstyle, and I love that. Next up, we have rank 6. This is kind of coming into like later Cold War, rank 6 ground rather. This is getting into like the later Cold War, and so you start seeing a lot of tanks with APF SDS, composite armor, ERA, laser rangefinders. Some vehicles have thermals, most have night vision, and they start getting an increase in power to weight ratio, because at this point, armor thickness, or at least weight, at least when it comes to Eastern Bloc countries, it's starting to max out, but they're starting to increase their horsepower, which makes the game faster paced again. Also, you're starting to either get auto loaders or other things that make reloading a little bit faster, so I really, really like it. On occasion, it's a bit of a pain in the butt because sometimes enemies have thermals or something where you don't, and they can just spot you from like however far away and you just die, and so sometimes it can be really, really lame, but for the most part, I like it because it's like a return to form for ground. It's an explosion of diversity, kind of like rank 6 air. Next up, we have rank 7 air, and this is another one. I really, really like it. In fact, actually, some of my favorite vehicles in War Thunder are in this BR, or in this rank. I think the MiG-21 MF is in this rank, the Jaguar GR1A is in this rank. It's just so fun because you're getting better missiles, you're getting faster aircraft, you're getting aircraft with better acceleration. Even if they're not necessarily too much faster on the top end, they're much better in the mid-ranges and they can get there quicker. You're starting to get countermeasures and things like that, and it's just so much fun because it's just so incredibly fast-paced, and not many people have BVR yet. Not many people have like Sparrows and things of that nature, and if they do, they tend not to be all that good. So rank 7, especially like in the 10 to 11.0 BR range, is incredibly fun. Not quite as much as rank 6, because I feel like rank 6 is more so a mix of gun and missile fighting, whereas rank 7 starts to lean more into missile fighting, but still really, really fun. Then we have rank 7 ground. And I kind of want to put that in C tier, to be honest with you. I'm just, part of me really likes it, but part of me doesn't. I feel like rank 7 ground is at that point, that's the current highest BR, or the current highest rank in ground. And I just feel like you have so many people that get to it, and then they're just so jaded by War Thunder that they just go up to like their camping spot or spawn camping spot, and they just try to kill enemies. They just kill your team and they ruin it, and it's just so stupid. And then you get like a whole bunch of one death leave, and it's just, it gets really annoying, really, really annoying, really, really quick. And so it's not so much that the vehicles aren't fun, it's just that other people who play really annoyingly make it not fun. And so I just don't really play a lot of rank 7. I mean, I do on occasion. Even just recently, I've been doing it for a Stock to Spaded video that you guys will be seeing in probably about a month. But it's just not all that great to me. Simply, again, not because the vehicles are bad, but because of the type of people, the type of playing that is probably, I mean, you could strongly say that it's encouraged around this BR. So it kind of sucks, in my opinion. Next up, we have rank 8 air. This is the last rank we have in this, and it's the highest rank currently in game, rank 8 air. And I find that similarly with C, like with the rank 7 ground. Pretty similar reasons too. So with rank 7 or rank 8 air, you deal with a lot of BVR missiles. You deal with a lot of things where it's just like, oh, okay, I died. You know, it's just out of nowhere. and it gets really, really silly sometimes. It's just me personally. I'm sure some people would put this in A or S tier, but I'm not a huge fan of BVR. You know, I would much rather take AIM-9Ls. I'd much rather take well, maybe not R60s, but once R73 starts to come into War Thunder, I'd much rather take closer range missiles and just dogfight with enemies, which is why I like rank 6 and rank 7 air, because you can kind of do that a bit more. Whereas rank 8, a lot of the time you're being killed by people that you don't even see, and you don't even see their missiles. And it just kind of gets a little bit silly. You know, if you can't see the enemy, it just gets a little bit frustrating in a way. Again, not that the vehicles are not fun, because I love flying in the F-14. I love the F-16s, but it's just so hit or miss with me. Sometimes I'll get 3 or 4 kill matches, 5 kill matches. Other times I'll have like 4 matches in a row where I just die, you know, and maybe get like an assist or 2. That's it. It's such a hit or miss thing for me. It can be really fun, but a lot of the time when it's not, it's really not fun. And that's kind of the thing that bugs me about it. But either way, this is pretty much my list. Again, rank 1 ground, rank 3 air, rank 3 ground, and rank 6 air round out the S tier, whereas rank 1 naval is the worst insofar as fun is concerned is in War Thunder. So that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I am genuinely interested to see what everybody's specific rank and game mode is, because I'm sure some people are going to have differing opinions over what I have, but again, I'm just interested to hear what you guys think in the comments below. So either way, thanks again, and I will see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.